So, the Roblox economy is broken, and honestly, I don't even think that's a hot take anymore. It's one of those things where the deeper you look into it, the more you'll realize it's kind of designed to be broken. Like, yeah, devs get paid, players spend Robux, everything looks like it works on the surface, but once you start tracing where the money actually goes, it becomes pretty obvious who's really winning here. Spoiler alert, it's not the people making games. And the wild part is, this isn't just some small oversight or something Roblox will patch later. This is the core of how the entire platform runs. Roblox has a way to build that's basically a one-way money funnel. Players pour money in, developers do all the work, and Roblox takes the biggest slice every single time. It's a system that looks fair if you squint at it, but the second you break it down, you realize how lopsided it really is. So let's actually do that. Let's start with the most basic part of the system, Robux, because the whole economy starts here. Players buy Robux with real money, and then they spend those Robux on in-game stuff, game passes, avatar items, private servers, whatever. Pretty normal, right? But here's where it gets a little tricky. Every time Robux changes hands, Roblox skims a chunk off the top. You buy Robux, Roblox takes their cut. You spend Robux in a game, Roblox takes their cut. Even when a developer finally cashes out their Robux into real money, Roblox again takes their cut. It's like a toll booth that never ends. No matter which direction the money moves, Roblox is standing there with their hand out. And that's why so many devs feel stuck. It's not just that you need players to spend money in your game, it's that even when they do, the actual amount you get is way smaller than it looks. And once you see the numbers, it really hits you just how stacked this whole thing is against developers. So here's the math that really shows how bad it is. Let's say a player buys 1,000 Robux. On the surface, that costs them $12.50. Already, you can see Roblox is winning. That's not a clean one-to-one conversion. They've priced Robux in a way where players are paying a premium just to get into the system. Now, say that player spends 1,000 Robux on a game pass that you made. You'd think, cool, I just made $12.50 worth of value. But here's where Roblox toll booth comes in. Right off the top, Roblox takes a 30% cut of every sale through the marketplace. So your 1,000 is now 700. But you're not done. Let's say you eventually decide to cash out through DevX. When you cash out, the exchange rate isn't 0.0125 per Robux like the player paid. Instead, Roblox gives you 0.0035 per Robux. So those 700 you earned, they're only worth about $2.45 in real world money. Think about that for a second. A player paid Roblox $12.50, and you, the developer who actually made the content that they enjoyed, walk away with less than $2.50 of it. Roblox pocketed the other $10, and they didn't have to make a single game. And that's why devs call it an economy trap. On paper, you're quote unquote making money every time someone buys your game pass, but in practice, Roblox has set up the system so they keep the lion's share. And that wouldn't sting as bad if they were the ones putting in the creative work, but they're not. They've outsourced the creativity to you, the developer, while they sit back and skim the top at every single step. And here's where the trap really comes together. Roblox knows this system looks awful if you lay out the numbers just like I did, but instead of highlighting that, they sell you the dream. Everywhere you look, they push the same message. You could be the next big hit, you could be Jailbreak, the next Adopt Me, the next Doors. They've highlighted those rare outliers that made millions and put them front and center like lottery winners. And that marketing works because it's technically true. Yes, a handful of developers have gotten rich off Roblox, but the reality is, the overwhelming majority never will. And it's not because their games are bad, it's because the math is stacked against them from the very start. Let's go back to that example. Even if your game is pulling in hundreds of thousands of Robux, the actual cash conversion is so low that most small and mid-tier developers are left with pennies compared to the work they put in. It's like a casino flashing the jackpot on the screen while quietly collecting every other dollar people lose in the background. And the genius of Roblox's strategy is that they don't even have to spend their own money to make this work. You're the one putting in the hours, scripting, building, designing, updating, while they pocket the majority of the revenue and still get to say, look at all these amazing developers getting opportunities on our platform. It's an illusion of opportunity. The system dangles the possibility of success in front of you, but it's designed so that the house, Roblox in this case, always wins. One of Roblox's favorite talking points is that they're empowering independent developers. They love to frame it like anyone can just hop on, make a game, and suddenly they're a self-made entrepreneur. But here's the problem. Independence means control. And on Roblox, developers have none. Think about it. You don't own the servers your games run on, you don't own the economy your game exists in, you don't even own the audience you're building, because Roblox can shut you down, demonetize you, or bury your game in the algorithm overnight. Everything you've worked for, every player you've reached, is completely tied to their platform. That's not independence, that's dependence disguised as freedom. Roblox markets itself as this place where kids can learn to code and maybe even start a career. And for a while, it feels like that's true. You're making games, you're building communities, you're bringing in some Robux, but the deeper you get, the more you realize you're stuck in their ecosystem with no real way out. If you want to make your skills useful somewhere, you can't bring your game with you. If you want to make more money, you're locked in their conversion rate. If you want more visibility, You're at the mercy of their algorithm and their rules. So when Roblox calls you an independent developer, what they really mean is you're an unpaid employee who supplies them with content, takes on all the risk, and gets a fraction of the reward while still being told you're lucky to be there. If the myth of independence keeps developers tied to Roblox financially, the community keeps them tied emotionally. Roblox is brilliant at creating this sense of clout. If your game hits the front page, suddenly you're somebody. You're not just another user anymore, you're a developer. People in forums recognize your name, other creators DM you, maybe even YouTubers cover your game. That recognition does feel good, it feels validating, and that's where the traps set in. Because even if you know the paths are unfair or that the grind isn't sustainable, the social side keeps you hooked. You don't want to lose that status. You don't want to go from being the developer of that one big game back to just another player in the crowd, and Roblox knows this. They highlight developers on Twitter, give rewards, hand out limited badges, all to reinforce that your identity is tied to their platform. But here's the truth, they don't actually need you. They need the idea of you. They need enough developers making enough content to keep the cycle going. If you burn out, someone else will replace you tomorrow. The clout doesn't last, but the system keeps feeding itself. So while developers cling to that recognition, Roblox reaps the benefit, endless free labor, endless new games, endless engagement. And all of it, it's all built on illusion, that you're part of something bigger, when in reality, you're just another piece of the machine. When you combine the community trap with the broken economy, you start to see a pattern that repeats itself over and over, the burnout cycle. It usually starts the same way. A developer gets their first taste of success, maybe their games get a spike in visits, maybe they finally hit that first DevX payment. It feels amazing. Validation, freedom, proof that the dream is real. So naturally, they double down. They work harder, push updates faster, stay up later. Because if they slow down, they risk losing momentum. But here's the thing, Roblox's entire ecosystem is built on constant engagement. If you don't update your game, the algorithm buries it. If you don't pump out new mechanics, players leave for the next big shiny thing. And because you're only making 24.5 cents on the dollar, the only way to even scrape by is volume. More updates, more grind, more time. Pretty soon, the passion starts to curdle into pressure. What was once fun, designing levels, scripting mechanics, experimenting with ideas, becomes a checklist. I need to push out this update or my game dies. I need to add more monetization or I won't hit payout. You're not creating because you want to anymore. You're creating because you have to. And that's when burnout hits. Developers disappear from the platform all the time, sometimes quietly, sometimes with frustrated goodbye posts. The cycle is brutal. One wave of devs burn out, and a fresh wave of new kids replaces them, full of excitement, ready to be squeezed dry the same way. Roblox doesn't need to care, because there's always another 14-year-old ready to fill the gap. What makes it worse is that Roblox markets itself as a career path. They tell you kids can make a living here, they spotlight a handful of outliers who made millions, but the reality is, most devs crash long before they ever get close. And because so many are teenagers, the lessons they take away aren't about sustainable careers, they're about overwork, underpayment, and disposable labor. It's not just a cycle of burnout, it's a pipeline of exploitation. At some point, you have to step back and ask, how much of this is really on the developers and how much of it is on Roblox? Because let's be real, Roblox isn't some scrappy startup anymore. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation with the money, resources, and infrastructure to actually protect and support the people building its platform. And yet, over and over, they've chosen not to. Think about it. They control the payout rate, the algorithm, the moderation, the messaging. They set the rules that encourage kids to grind themselves into burnout, then wash their hands of the fallout by saying, well, anyone can publish on Roblox, we don't control what they do. It's a perfect shield. They get all the profit without any accountability. And it's not like they don't know. They've been called out for this for years, by developers, journalists, even by their own community. The stories about burnout, the stories about predatory monetization, the stories about unsafe spaces for kids, none of this is new. Roblox has heard it all before. They just don't act, because acting would mean taking a hit to their bottom line. Roblox loves to parade itself as this beacon of opportunity, the future of digital creation, the ultimate platform for young entrepreneurs. But when you pull back the curtain, what you really see is a company built on disposable labor, hiding behind the idea of freedom to avoid a real responsibility. At the end of the day, Roblox isn't just a neutral platform, it's an ecosystem they designed, rules they enforce, and systems they profit from. And as long as they're raking in billions, they can't keep pretending it's out of their hands, because the truth is, it's not. So, now where does that leave us? I think it comes down to this. Roblox has become too big to keep hiding behind the idea that it's just a platform. When you've got millions of kids pouring hours of their lives into it, and entire careers being built up on top of it, you don't get to sit back and shrug when things go wrong. Developers aren't asking for perfection. They're not even asking for special treatment. They're asking for fairness, for a system that doesn't burn them out, for safeguards that actually protect players, for a company that takes responsibility for the world it created instead of shifting their blame onto the very people keeping it alive. And maybe the saddest part is that Roblox has the potential to be incredible. The creativity is there, the passion is there, the community is there. What's missing is accountability. And until Roblox starts treating this like the multi-billion-dollar industry it is, instead of some scrappy experiment that just so happens to print money, these problems aren't going away.